what I thought was a call to support my child actually turned into a moment where the Holy Spirit began to minister to the child in me. So lately, I've noticed that my daughter has been having a hard time being in the moment. She's been really distracted lately. And this could be in the middle of conversations right here in the real world. This can be learning something new in school. This could be learning something at church, doing children's church. I recognize that she can be physically present, but not mentally. And it's been happening more often than not. Okay. So I always ask her, where's your mind when we're supposed to be learning, right? Where's your mind when we're talking? And this last time, she just literally said TikTok, you know? Now, before I go further, I'm not saying kids shouldn't enjoy social media, right? As long as it's age appropriate, um, and it's not anything crazy. That's what social media is for. That's what electronics are for. But what I am realizing, you know, is that if the enemy cannot get our children any other way, he will strategize to get them another way. Think about it. Some of us do our best to make sure our kids are in sports, make sure they are home, they're not out running the streets. We try to, watch who they're friends with and things of that nature. And then other parts of the time is kind of like, okay, well, they're home, right? They're safe, they're not out. But here's the thing, we have to pay attention, or we have to be mindful of the schemes and the tricks of the enemy, okay? The enemy is coming up with ways to distract our children or to grab their attention away from their destinies without them even knowing it. And if we don't catch it early, it'll become a greater problem in the long run. I shared my concern with her and I let her know, like, it's okay to enjoy the internet, but too much of it can take your attention away from areas where you naturally thrive, right? I gave her some examples where I've seen her distractions slowly take over her natural growth and abilities, Think about that with your children and their natural abilities, okay? And how the enemy may already be trying to take over or control their minds, okay? Too much time scrolling, watching other people live out their lives or live out their purpose, or just online having fun, whatever the case may be. What if our kids could create their own lanes, right? Just simply from doing what they love. I was sharing all this with her, not to scold her, but because I recognized the gifts, the skills, and the call that God had placed on her life very early on. And if we don't recognize the ways in which the enemy will try to steal those things, because he's tricky, right? He knows that, oh, if I can't manipulate them through people, or if I can't get them outside, then I'm going to meet them where they are. And if that's in electronics, that's in social media, I'll do that. One of my daughter's gifts is prayer. Like, no lie, she has been praying for people since she was 5 years old. And I mean, she would randomly ask people, can I pray for you? And she would pray her little prayers and it would bring them to tears. And as I reminded her of that, I said, what if you started getting online saying prayers for people? I said, at your young age, do you know how many people would not only watch you, but how many lives you could change? Just giving her another avenue, right, to flourish instead of letting her gifts die at the hands of social media. And then, of course, the Holy Spirit began to minister to me as I continued to talk to her. God really does have a sense of humor. He will show us through our children, right? So as I spoke, I began reflecting on my own habits, my vices of distraction, right? And I started to think, how many of us are scrolling when we should be building? Scrolling when we should be listening or learning, for guidance. It made me realize I couldn't just get upset with my daughter, right? I needed to pour into her while also pouring into me, giving her at the age of 9 the guidance I'm still receiving at the age of 37, right? So here's my question to not just myself, but to all of you as well. What is distracting the child in you? Yeah. That's something we don't talk about. What's distracting the child in you? What is the Father trying to pour into you, but you keep missing it? And how are you showing up for your children in the way you wished someone had showed up for you? Think about it. We have the opportunity to recognize the strategy and the tactics of the enemy and to take back the authority that we have, that God has given us, and to share that and to spread that and to pour that into our children, even as we learn. All right? So that's all I have. I just want to share that because I needed to hear that. I needed to hear what I was telling her. So think about it. All right? And until next time, make sure you guys are walking in peace, love, and healing.